All right, guys, welcome to the show. A rare, extremely rare Saturday show from your boy. No, John, count your lucky blessings. But today on the Badge Bros, I've got a very special guest. We've got a golf expert. Unfortunately, not Numi, but we've got someone maybe even better than Numi, some would say. Who knows? It's a very special guest. Let's bring in Jason. He's going to break down the PGA best ball tournaments on best ball. And for, guys like us, we're just looking for a little bit of an edge. We're going to have a big edge, I have a feeling, after talking with Jason. Let's go ahead and bring him in. Jason, my man.
What's going on, everybody? I am thrilled to be talking some PGA best ball. And when Underdog came out with this format, I dove right in. I'm like, where's this been the last 3 years? I would have been doing this over DFS any day of the week, let me tell you.
This is exciting, man. Like I just talking to you before the show, like you are dialed in. You are locked in, and that is the energy that we need. And I really do think too, once people kind of see how the contest works, and you really understand what's really important, and what is really important is not necessarily the quality of golfer that you're taking, but who can give you the best advantage to advance round after round. It's pretty accessible once you kind of figure that piece out. But before we dive into that, why don't you tell the audience here of Badge Bros who you are and your experience in PGA DFS?
Yeah, absolutely. So it all started, I kind of fell into DFS when I was on a vacation and made a couple of lineups for the Open Championship. And I had no idea what DFS or any of this was about 8 years ago. And I made a lineup, it did really well, and I was hooked. So that was pretty much all it took. I started all the way back then with my buddies over at Fantasy Golf Insider, and it's still my buddies, Jeff, over there. They run a great shop. Worked with them for a while, and then I went off and did my own kind of thing in the PGA DFS space and hooked up with a couple of people in the PGA Tour and really learned a tremendous amount. This was a little bit before the PGA Tour kind of got going, though, unfortunately, in this golf betting and golf fantasy space. So maybe it was a little bit before my time. But then I hooked up with Alex Baker over at Stochastic. And Alex and I actually were in Scotland together on one of those live final trips.
No way.
We spent the week. If he ever tells you anything about golf, let me tell you, I taught him everything he knows. Yeah, great guy, Alex over there. So worked with them, and then I started building tools for the golf space after being in the DFS space for some time. I finally got to use my knowledge and build some really, really fun and cool tools for the guys over at Lucky Trader. And that's what I'm doing now, and happy to be able to convert these tools into best ball and use kind of the knowledge that I have and I've accumulated over the years in a new format. So really, really excited.
That's awesome. And not only do you talk the talk, but you also walk the walk a little bit. You had a golf tournament today, right? And
I fell into it because I love it so much, and I played it in the golf tournament today. I chipped in for eagle on the last hole, got myself 10 Underdog fantasy points along with it. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I moved down to Florida a couple of years ago from New England for this exact reason. It was like 83 degrees here on January 22nd. So I will take it. Let me tell you.
And everyone needs to know, since you're so sharp, you're on Underdog, right? What's the username?
Yep, username is DFS Golfer 23. Same as my Twitter handle at DFS Golfer 23. Yep, if you see me in there and you're wondering what the heck I'm doing, why I'm drafting Ben Griffin, I'm going to tell you why I'm.
You're gonna have to sell me on some of these guys, man. I had a really nice round one of the Farmers insurance because I was, I don't think enough of the field was hammering North Course golfers, and Alejandro Tosti, I just found out who Toasty was this week, man, and he led me to a very, very nice night. I had like 40% Toasty, man, and I'm not even gonna lie, I did not know. I couldn't pick him out of a lineup. So now I'm hooked. Like that's
Can
my
I
guy.
ask you a quick strategy question on that? Because I did see, and you played pretty decent volume, right? That was like 50 lineups or more.
I played a lot that round one. I played 140.
All right, tell me this then. You can't draft all of those 140, right? Like, so you use rankings in auto draft on a lot of them?
Primarily auto draft and golf. I like to be in the lobbies when I'm drafting football and baseball and position sports, because there's correlation and positional scarcity. But with like NBA and PGA, it's primarily just like set my ranks and like try to keep an eye on like who I'm overexposed to, keep an eye on some combinatorial stuff, maybe mix up the ranks, but like it's very easy to just like to just auto draft it, and it's what a lot of people that play PGA at volume do.
Yeah, I've noticed that, because I've gotten about 55 drafts between the $10, $100, and the $3, and I've done them all manually. And I'm like, I've talked to a couple of guys, and that was going to be my one thing with you today. It's like, all right, help me with that strategy a little bit, because I got this information, except I don't have the time to draft 150. And like you said, it's mainly just auto drafting. So
yeah, but it can be helpful to be in there, like especially when you have intricate knowledge of courses, tournaments, and players, to see what the field is doing, and then you can maybe do some autos to like in conjunction with your hand building. I like to draft manually. It kind of breaks my heart. I've turned into a volume auto drafter just because I just want to have sweats in these sports, but my roots are hand building. I'm not like an opto bro at heart. I'm a hand builder at heart. So I want to get in there and actually know who I'm picking, and I'm getting there. I know like a million more golfers than I did last week, so I'm getting there.
That's what I like to hear. That's when you know the Alejandro Tostis, you're getting into PGA.
I'll never forget that name as long as I live. So real quick, before you get into it, because you got so much good stuff to share, and I'm very excited, I want to just kind of break down the tournament, the two tournaments that are up right now, and how they're broken down, and then we will go into the strategy. And I think as I talk about this, the question or the puzzle that we're trying to solve will be very evident to the people watching. So here is a quick breakdown of the two tournaments that are up. We have the Big Scramble, which is $100 to enter, and the Scramble 2, which is $10. $150K in prizes for the Big Scramble, $100K in the Scramble 2. These are the advance rates per round. So you can easily see here. And then this is the final. So 8-person final for the Big Scramble with a $2K prize for making the finals. And then 31 people in the finals for the Scramble 2 with a $500 min cash for making the finals there, with 10K to first and 20K to first, respectively. Now, where things get interesting is round by round, we are playing a lot of tournaments. And you can see here we have 6 tournaments for round 1, 4 for round 2. And where the puzzle comes in, and the problem we're trying to solve is not every golfer in the player pool, like our Scotty Schefflers, our Rory McIlroys, these guys are not playing every single tournament. So it's not quite as simple as drafting the best golfers. If you just strictly draft the best golfers, the highest earners, you're probably going to get bounced maybe in as early as round 1. So that's why I've got my man Jason here, and he's going to help us do pretty well, or at least better than we would with zero knowledge in this tournament. So did I do a pretty good job of explaining what we're trying to solve here?
You did, absolutely. And I think this is a great place to start, is just talking about the tournaments. We'll talk about the players, but I think setting the stage by talking about the tournaments is probably the best thing. So just a very high level on the PGA Tour, how they're doing it this year, how they did it last year, and more or less how they've done it for quite some time, but it's a much more focus on this year, is they've broken out their events. They have their marquee events now, which there are 8 of them, which all of the good players are playing in. So 1 through 50 on last year's FedEx Cup get into all those events. In the first stage, or in round 1 stage, those 2 tournaments are the Genesis Invitational and the Arnold Palmer Invitational. So those 2 events, top 50 players in the world, guaranteed to be in them 100%. Also, the Players Championship, every golfer that you want to draft is going to be playing in that. So it's basically a wash. All the good players are going to play in it. Even the guys that you're going to pick 8th and 9th, they're all going to be in it as well. So more or less, you can expect every single golfer to play 3 times. That's toss that out. Any golfer you want to pick? Maybe Tiger Woods, but you really don't want to pick Tiger Woods. I love Tiger, but you don't want to pick Tiger.
Yeah, maybe if we had 11 spots, it's like a lucky number 11 or something at the very end, but probably not going to give you too much value. Maybe for the vibes. I don't know. If you just ran so pure at picks 1 through 9, get Tiger for the vibes around 10. But unfortunately, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be having too much Tiger.
No, like you said, unfortunately. So now we basically now just very quickly know that we're going to get Scotty Scheffler playing 3 times. We know we're going to get Rory playing 3 times, etc. So then what we have to do is we really have to go. What I've done is you've got to know who is likely to play in each event and who is committed to each event. So let's take the waste management, for example. Players will commit up to the Friday before the event. However, the better players will commit months and months before, right? The Friday before does nothing for us, of course. But we know that the waste management, a lot of the stars that are playing in that event have already committed. So we know Scotty's playing. We know Victor's playing. We know a bunch of other guys, Sam Burns, Wyndham Clark, etc. Now, how do we know? How do we find this? How do I find it? Is I go to their Twitters, I go to their Instagrams, I go to their websites. So, yeah, sourcing the information is very manual. I'm not going to lie to you. But knowing the sources, the 3 that I just said, each tournament has its own X or Twitter account. They'll tweet out commit as soon as they get them. So, for example, the Cognizant Classic, which is the old Honda Classic for those that follow, Rory McIlroy just committed to that event 2 days ago. So we know he's going to play there. We know likely no one else is going to play there. That's good. And we'll get into that in a second. So those are things that we need to really keep an eye on. All right. So now we know basically the big players are going to commit to the smaller events, the ones you don't have bolded on the screen. And if they don't commit to them, they're a couple of weeks in advance. Honestly, with most of the big stars, they're probably not going to play in them. It's just how it works. The stars really like to, they use them as marketing pieces, you know, to be completely honest with you, Nez. Like, you'll see the Honda Classic, everything will have Rory on it now, right? Because he's coming. So every ticket, every marketing material, it'll all be Rory now, which is, you know, totally fine. So now, with that being said, who plays outside of the stars that have committed? Well, this is where the edge comes in, is being able to predict when and where golfers are going to play. So the top 50 on the PGA Tour that I mentioned that play in the Genesis Invitational and the Arnold Palmer, those guys are pretty much set. They can pick and choose where they want to play. However, golfers that are like, say, 30 to 50 on that list need to play more because they don't win, but they come in the top 15 a lot. And that's how they come in the top 50 at the end of the season, right? They come in the top 15 of every event. So I've got about 20 names that I think could play in at least 5 events, if not all 6. If they're not playing that good, they could be playing in all 6. So be happy to share those with everybody and kind of talk through a couple of those players on why I believe they'll play in 5 events and so on. So that's kind of the first step, is projecting how many events each golfer is going to play in each stage.
That is a lot, and it's also extremely helpful, right? I mean, we need to know this. We need to understand, you know, help identify who's playing where. And Rory, that was a big question mark whenever I first started these drafts, was Rory didn't project that well in round 1, but now that we know he's playing in the Cogni, as I'll now forever call it, that now don't want to sound like an idiot calling the Cognizant Classic, you know, that's obviously big news, because if you don't know, Rory McIlroy is the 102. He's our CMC, our Jay Jettas of this best ball tournament. That's very important. Now, I know we're going to dive in deeper, but I guess my question is, after hearing all that, is rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5, which is the final, do these include as much nuance as round 1? And I'm guessing the answer is yes.
Yeah. So I can tell you that round 2, if it was not 3 of 10, would be really tough to get out of, because in round 2, for the most part, the stars could only play in one event. Scotty Scheffler might only play in one event, the Masters you see there. Now, I haven't predicted that if a golfer doesn't play in the Waste Management, which is the first tournament in stage one, I'm guessing they're going to play in the Valspar. And the reason why I'm saying that is because even the stars, they need to get in reps before the Masters, right? They don't want to show up and really be rusty. So what I think is going to end up happening is they're going to play the Arnold Palmer, they're going to play the Players, then they're going to play the Valspar. Reason being is they're all in Florida. They're all very close together. You know, you go from Orlando to Jacksonville and then over here to Tampa for the Valspar.
Gotcha.
And then they take 2 weeks off before the Masters, right? So that's kind of how I have it predicted, where if they're not playing the Waste Management, they'll play in the Valspar. So a couple of names that come to mind there, Colin Morikawa. He's not playing the Waste Management. I do expect him to come to Valspar. Jordan Spieth is another name that we don't quite know if he's going to play Waste Management yet. And what's interesting is that these guys are only going to play in 4 events in the first stage, so they're not as valuable. However, if you're able to build later in the draft for, say, the Mexico Open and the Cognizant Classic or the Honda Classic, whatever we want to call it, right? You can add those guys in the beginning. You just have to be cognizant. Funny enough, that's did not mean that, but you got to be cognizant of making sure you get 6 guys in that Mexico Open. That's really one in that back half of your draft. You want to give yourself the best chance to have 6 guys play.
Yeah, that really does seem like the puzzle here. And it's tough because, you know, we are so used to in best ball, you know, like we're very finals focused. Whereas, you know, we got to get out of round 1 first, and you can really be caught with your pants down if you're not careful. Just to jump really quickly to the finals, sure. These tournaments here, how likely is it that the best golfers are playing in, let's say, 4 out of 5 of these? Is this one going to be as spotty as the other rounds?
Definitely. They'll play in 3. Ooh. So the Travelers Championship in Cromwell, Connecticut, that is a elevated event or a marquee event. The Genesis Scottish Open, most of the stars, not all of them, most of the stars will play in the Genesis Scottish Open the week before the Open Championship, and then all of them will play in the Open. Rarely, and especially with the Genesis and going overseas, the players, the stars take the Rocket Mortgage and the John Deere Classic off. Basically, no stars will play in those. So again, we're talking about guys, you know, like Ben Griffin, I kind of brought up as kind of tongue-in-cheek, but talking about guys like that for the Rocket Mortgage Classic and John Deere, they're going to definitely be the stars of those events.
So will your boy Ben Griffin then how many, if you were to project, how many events do you think he would play in the finals?
So this is where it gets interesting, because he'll definitely play the Rocket Mortgage Classic and the John Deere, right? I think he gets into the Genesis. However, he's going to play well in the first, all those tournaments you see before, to get into Travelers and to get into the Open. So it's kind of a cascading effect for some of these guys that I'm talking about that are not stars, that if they start to play well, they're going to get in more of these events. So you've got that upside as well. They're going to play in the random events that no stars will play in, and they've got a chance to play in the events that the stars play in as well. And guys like that, they play all the time. Eric Cole is probably a name you've probably heard a bunch, right?
Yeah.
ADP is going so high because people expect him to play 6 times in stage 1, you know, 3 times in stage 2. And while I don't disagree with that, his value, if he decides to sit out one event, it goes down so drastically, because really you're drafting Eric Cole because he's going to play more than Scotty Scheffler, right? I know you're not. I'm not saying he's going over Scotty Scheffler, but if you look at the ADP, you bring that back up, he's going over some of the best golfers in the world, and he is, no offense to Eric Cole here, he's not better than Colin Morikawa or Max Homa or Tony Finau or my boy Jordan Spieth. Yeah, I love Eric Cole. I love the story. He's just not as good a golfer as those, you know, below him.
He's a young guy, right? Is he a rookie, I believe, or no?
You ready for this? He's a rookie, but he's 35.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that is an awesome story.
So he was grinding. Have you ever heard of mini tours before?
No. Enlighten me, please.
Yeah. So these are like, think about it as like PGA Tour, but like really low scale. Like you spend $200 to get into the tournament, and there's 100 guys, and the prize pool is 20,000. Think about it like a poker tournament, but just a golf tournament, right?
Okay.
He was grinding those for like the last 15 years. Finally got a Korn Ferry Tour start and got a Korn Ferry Tour card, and then got onto the PGA Tour through it. So this guy is like the journeyman of all journeymen. So I really give him all the credit in the world. It's an amazing story at 35 years old to be playing so well. But yeah, I wouldn't be picking him over Colin Morikawa personally.
Yeah, I was gonna say I assumed, like, I had no idea what his age was, so I was like, oh, he's a rookie. He must just be like an awesome, like, up and comer, which I guess was like kind of true. And then no, it turns out he's just like a scratch golfer that's like, oh, I think I'm gonna get my tour card. And now here he is. So I know you have like some cool stuff to share. Do you want me to pop it on the screen, and then you can kind of go through some of your stuff whenever you're ready?
Yeah, I'd love to. That'd be great. Thanks.
Okay, you good?
Yep.
All right.
Awesome. So what we're seeing on the screen here is the PGA Tour player scheduler. Now,
do you want to zoom in on this
sure.
once or twice?
Yep. Yeah, that works a little bit
perfect.
better. So, now, I made this last year for the Rainmakers game, but really what it is, it's just a PGA Tour player scheduler. So it, of course, applies here to best ball. And what it shows you is what I expect golfers to play, where I expect them to play. If they are probable, that means that they've either A, committed, or B, are very likely to play because they kind of have to. That's the other thing I forgot to mention is that I'd like to about these events is guys like Ben Griffin, or as you see on the screen here, Akshay Bhatia, your guy Alejandro Tosti, right? They're not going to get into Pebble Beach next week or the Genesis Invitational that we mentioned, more than likely. So
Snubbed.
They've got to play, right? Yeah, they've got to play in the Waste Management. They've got to play in the Mexico Open to try and earn those FedEx Cup points. So what you can come do with this scheduler, it's for all those that follow football, it's the exact same kind of thing. P means probable to play. Q means either questionable to play, either they have yet to qualify or they've yet to commit. And then D is doubtful, either they're not expected to play because they haven't committed and it's just an event that they've never gone to. And then, of course, O being out, if they've said they're definitely not going or they've withdrawn. So what you can do is I've got the entire season in here, so all of the stages. There are a couple of events that I have included in here that aren't included in the stages because they're offshoot events. Like, for example, here, Punta Cana, it's actually the same week as the RBC, and all of the bad players go to Punta Cana and all the good players go to RBC. So I was curious to see if Underdog would like put those two tournaments together and you kind of get scores from both, but not so. But yeah, as you can see, guys like Aaron Rye, for example, he's questionable to play at the RBC because he hasn't qualified for it, but he's probable to play in Punta Cana because if he doesn't make RBC, he's got to go play there. Now, again, I know that Punta Cana is not specifically for this, but you can kind of see how I've got it up. I've got every event, again, that an Underdog has out there. If you want to come out and see what I'm projecting, and of course, if you go all the way to the right, I also give you the total starts on here. Well, it's not on this one. So what we're working on, just a little bit behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We have our best ball rankings that we're coming out with this week. As you can see, we got to clean up some of the data here. But everybody that is interested in best ball and doing it will have our rankings that you can download and upload right to Underdog, of course. We're also going to be coming out with daily projections as well for those daily drafts that you mentioned, or call them showdown drafts if you want, however you want to mention those, because they're round by round, right?
Right.
So we're going to have those rankings and projections as well. So stay certainly tuned for that. We're working hard on it and excited to dive in with everybody for sure.
Yeah, this is awesome, man. And this is on Lucky Trader, right?
Yep. On luckytrader.com. Right now, these tools only have Rainmaker package because we weren't fully out with the tool yet. So we'll be coming out with a best ball package, so you don't have to worry about all that Rainmaker stuff next week. So for anybody that wants to, it'll be super affordable for anybody that's getting involved, and hopefully help everybody win some big prizes. Like I saw you win a couple of nights ago there on what was it called, the 4 or Thursday 4 tournament, I think. Or
yeah, it was that might have been. Was it when? What was
Yeah,
that?
Wednesday. See, that's the thing. PGA normally starting on Thursday.
Yeah, but they push it, I think, because of the NFL.
Yeah,
I believe so. It was the Worm Burner Wednesday. Because
the Worm Burner Wednesday. I love it.
yeah. Well, it was Ryo. Shout out my boy Ryo. Is that Heisatoon? Do you know how to say his last name? I don't even.
Yeah, let's just go with that. I think that's right.
Ryo, yeah, my boy Ryo. That's like one of my favorites now. And Alejandro Tosti. Those are my guys. I will live and die by them. I'm a big Emiliano Grillo guy as well. Big Grillo guy. Let's pop over to ADP and let's just kind of like do like a little off the cuff exercise of the players that are in like the top like 10 for now, and try to like decipher who is good and who is like fool's gold here. So yeah, I'll let you kind of like take the floor here.
Yeah, we'll start with Scotty. We know that Scotty's playing in the Waste Management Phoenix Open. So for me, if I'm the first pick, I still take Scotty. I think he's going to win the Waste Management. He's going to give you a top 10 at every event he plays in, and I've got him playing in at least 4 in stage 1. So I'm still going Scotty. I wasn't taking Rory at 2, 3, or 4 until he committed to Honda. That now puts him right up there with Victor, because Victor also committed to the Waste Management. So that means he's going to play in 4 events. So I got those 3 pretty lock and step at this point. Maybe a little bit of a step down for Xander. However, Xander has committed to the Waste Management, so he's only going to play 4. But here's the thing about, I know this tournament obviously starts at the Waste Management, but we have to look at data that has come in before. So Xander has played a lot up until this point. That means that he's probably going to take a couple of events off in either stage 2, or maybe he only plays 1, like I suggested could happen. I would fully expect Xander really to only play 1 event in stage 2. And if you're taking him in as your top player, you're now behind the 8 ball for the Masters, right? Because most of the guys that you're taking in the first round are guys that are going to play at least 4 times, play 1 more time in stage 2, and then the Masters. So Cantlay is in the exact same boat, which is why I think you see his ADP really dropping. Again, I think he's just as good a player or certainly close to it. Cantlay has played a ton this season already. I expect him to sit out. Now, kind of the wild card is Ludwig Aberg.
Yeah.
He is your sensational rookie that
I was going to say, this is the real rookie, right? This one is the actual young cat.
Yep. He's the actual young cat. And what's interesting about PGA Tour players when you first get on tour, the theory has always been play as much as you can to find out what golf courses work for you, what tournaments you like, right? Because Aberg hasn't been a PGA Tour player really all that long. I think maybe a month and a half last year. He hasn't played any of these courses. He doesn't know if he likes the tournament a lot. So I do expect him to play in probably the most events of the stars, so to speak, because of that kind of fact that he's just going to play a lot to see what courses he likes, see what towns he likes to visit, right? And that way, going forward, he can kind of make his schedule based off of that. But I do expect him to play a lot. So he becomes very valuable in that sense, especially if he does play the Mexico Open. He could legitimately be the favorite to win that event. Now, why do I keep bringing the Mexico Open up?
Yeah, I was about to ask. Yeah. Let's touch on that real quick, and then we'll jump back to
the players.
This.
Yeah. So not only do you have to try and predict out when the players are going to play, right? But you also have to look at what type of scoring comes from that event. So, for example, the Waste Management Phoenix Open in Scottsdale, very low scoring event. The scores will be 18 or 19 under, tons of birdies. Genesis Invitational, little flip from that. It's a little difficult, not as many birdies. Then you get the Mexico Open. We're talking about 30 under possibly as the winner in that event. So,
whoa,
so many birdies, so many eagles. I have it projected out that the top 35 golfers that end up making the cut and finishing that event could score over 115 underdog fantasy points for the week.
And that is astronomical. That is insane. Like, for example, like when I won, my highest scoring golfer, Ryo, was 51.7. And
Yeah.
that was like a
He's
fat,
right?
and that was a
Yep.
fat score. Like,
Yep.
so that would be just unbelievable. And for the Mexican Open, is it like an elevation or a course thing that makes it so just like a bomb fest?
Yeah, a course thing. Yep.
Okay.
Just the course is easier. It's a resort style course. And for whatever reason, the players are just it's a long hitters course as well. So there's 4 par 5s that are all reachable. So the eagle chance, 4 eagle chances around really. So when you compare that to the Cognizant Classic or the Honda Classic there in Palm Beach, that golf course is very, very hard. Doesn't yield a lot of birdies, and you see a 9 or a 10 under winner. So that's why, yes, Rory playing in the Cognizant Classic is huge for him. However, Tony Finau being the defending champion for the Mexico Open, he's likely to go play in that event. So that's kind of the other weird thing. If you're the defending champion, typically you go back and play that event and defend your championship.
Wow.
Everybody wants to see you. So Tony Finau is one of my biggest plays at this point because he's going in late second and third round, and I'm scooping him up. Looks like his ADP has come up because it looks like people are catching on a little bit to that fact.
Mm-hmm.
But I was getting Finau in the third and fourth round, and to me, that was one of the big ones. Here's the other one that I love to do, that I love to look at. If you're trying to plan for a tournament or get a few guys, look at the leaderboards from the last couple of years. That's the other way I kind of shift through. So, for example, the Mexico Open, I kind of just mentioned that it's kind of a big hitters course. Finau winning kind of exemplifies that. Cameron Young is another name that hasn't played that well this year, but he's in the top 50. So he's getting in the Genesis Invitational and the Arnold Palmer Invitational that I just mentioned to you earlier. And he came in the top 5 in Mexico last year. I expect him to go back again, right? If a player plays well and they need to pick up points, well, that's a guy that I expect to definitely go to Mexico and could put up 130 points. Where, even if he sits out at the Honda, he's giving you 130 points, which is going to, crush anybody that's paying. Even if they win Honda, they're not scoring 130 points, in that sense. So those are Tony Finau and Cameron Young. If you're really planning for the Mexico Open, they're 2 guys that are going to play in every marquee event that I've mentioned because they were ranked in the top 50. And they're going to play in some of these offshoot events that are high scoring that you really want to have on your team.
Wow. That's just like such an edge in this, like truly, right? Because we are trying to play the game of who's going to golf the most in this tournament, but if you have somebody play like that can rack up points in the Mexican Open, that's just so unbelievably big. That's I didn't quite understand why we cared so much about the Mexican Open until you just laid it out for me. Maverick Steeler brings up a good question for our live golfers. We have for our John Rahms. Are we just Xing those guys out? They're just do not draft for us.
Yeah, it's a great question. Because if we look at the stages, Rahm's not going to play once in stage 1. So we're giving up a ton of equity there because we got to get out of stage 1, right? If we're going to get utility from him, we've got to get out of stage 1, which means you might have to drop a lot of the guys that I project to play in the Mexico Open. You might have to go a full 6 there, which your top of the board is not going to look great. That's my only concern. They're only going to play in the major championships this year. Next year, it definitely could be different. The landscape of professional golf could certainly change. This year, however, they're only going to play in the 4 majors, which is the Masters, the PGA Championship, the U.S. Open, and the Open Championship. I believe it's 1 per stage after the first stage. So what I would say there is, while I understand if Rahm wins the Masters, that could be huge for a team advancing into the next round, or Koepka winning the PGA Championship. Could be huge to advance from the 3rd round to the 4th round. I think you're giving up too much equity by picking them since they're not going to give you any points for stage 1. And like I said, we got to get out of stage 1. We can't do anything if we don't do that. So if you get a draft where you get Finau, you get Cameron Young, and you get 4 other guys that are highly ranked that I expect to play in Mexico. Maybe Eric Cole being one of them, but I think that could be tough. A couple of other guys like, way down the list, like Keith Mitchell. There's a guy that I know is going to play in Mexico, and he scores so many points. I love drafting these guys so late. Yeah. These are guys that I am targeting. Brandon Wu is another name. I know that's an interesting one.
I know. Oh, yeah, I know Brandon Wu.
Yeah, there's my guy, Brandon Wu. Again, a guy that I expect to play in the Mexico Open if he plays well. The nice thing is if we gamble on a guy like Keith Mitchell, here's the one more thing I want to bring up about the schedule. Is so from the Genesis, after the Genesis, it's Mexico Open, right? And then we go Honda, and then we go API. Well, what's interesting is between the Genesis and the API, so those 2 tournaments, Mexico and Cognizant, the top 15 golfers that perform in those tournaments will get to play in the Arnold Palmer. So you're almost parlaying, say, Keith Mitchell, right? We're going to pick Keith Mitchell because he's going to play good in Mexico and play good in Honda. That's going to get him into the Arnold Palmer, right? He's not qualified for the Arnold Palmer yet, but if he plays good in Mexico and plays good in the Cognizant, he'll get into the Arnold Palmer. So that's kind of the weird quirk, if you will, about the PGA Tour schedule. In between each elevated event, the top 15 performers from the events in between the elevated events get to go and play in it. So just kind of a quirk there. Again, we're kind of parlaying those names. I brought up Keith Mitchell, Brandon Wu, a couple of names, again, that could find themselves playing in a bunch more than what we expect them. Another name that almost won today, Steven Yeager.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
He's going a little bit more. Yeah, he's going 24. So a couple of other deep dives. I've got a name, Justin Suh. Yep.
So I'm all over these guys now. We have a motto over here called "Scroll the F down." Yes. Primarily, and golf is the ultimate scroll the F down sport. So with names like primarily Suh, Mitchell, and Wu. Yep. Are you waiting for like rounds 8, 9, 10 to take those guys, or do you feel they are worthy of like, hey, I need to take them like even before like well before ADP? Are you actively reaching on these guys?
Yeah, so I'll pick 4 guys that I know are going to be in Mexico, and I will start taking them in 7, 8, 9, and 10. Yeah, it doesn't even matter to me when. Like, I'll take Sue in the 7th round if, it doesn't matter. I'll start the 4 guys that I want to get, and I'll start taking them in the 7th round. If a couple of them have come off the board already, prior to the 7th round, then I'll even go into the 6th round if I need to take them. So, yeah, I mean, the answer to your question is absolutely. And I don't even care about their ADP. I'm just taking the 4 guys that I really want to, and I'll start 7 in a round. If again, I've done a lot of manual drafting. We'll call them manual.
Yeah, I'm manually drafting these slowly. Okay, so yeah. I'm doing slow drafts here with the big scramble. Let me list you off. I've completed 3 so far, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 golfers that I've drafted twice. And I want you to be completely honest about these guys that I have. And tell me, am I dead or alive? And obviously, context matters, but you can just tell me in a vacuum. Good pick, bad pick. I have 2 shares to start. My boy Minwoo Lee. How does Minwoo look in this contest?
All right, so he is one that I'm wrestling with quite a bit, and I'll explain why. I don't know how much he's going to play. If this guy is like, you know what, I'm going full PGA Tour. I'm going to play like I'm a rookie on the tour, just like Aberg. I'm going to play a bunch of times. Great. He is worth the 12 ADP. Here's one thing I'll say. He's ranked inside the top 30 in the world. And what that gets him is that gets him all into these signature events that we've talked about, right? So he didn't qualify last year through the PGA Tour because he wasn't a member yet. But because he's played so well around the world, he's getting invites into these events. So the Genesis Invitational and the Arnold Palmer Invitational, for example. So I expect him to play in all the elevated events. If we get him to go to Mexico, I mean, he's definitely worth the 12 ADP. I'm interested. And if I can get him in the 3rd round, I'm snap taking him because the upside is there. He could win the Masters this year, for goodness sakes. I'm a big fan of this guy. Like, let him cook.
Yes.
You follow him on Twitter? Like, I'm all
No.
about his vibe, man. You got to. I'm all about this guy's vibe.
Okay, nice. I love some personality. Is he? I need to watch now that like I am doing this too. I need to get on my full swing grind too. I've only watched like a couple episodes, so this is I'm going all in, man. I also go ahead.
By the way,
What'd you say?
The Joel Damon episode?
No, I'm like I think I've seen like 2 episodes so far, so I've really got to like get on that grind. I loved it. What I saw, I was back at my parents' place. I actually have golfed, and I'm not like a good golfer by any means, but I've golfed the South Course of Torrey Pines,
which playing this week.
Yeah, which was like an awesome experience. It was clearly in recreational shape because all of me and all my buddies were like, that wasn't so bad after we got done doing it. We didn't have to, hit out of the 4-inch rough or anything like that. Thankfully.
Yeah, when it's tournament time, that course transforms, huh? It's crazy.
Yeah, so thankfully didn't have to do any of that. But yeah, beautiful course over there. The next guy is Brendan Todd.
Brendan.
Why do I have so much Brendan Todd, do you think? I mean, I don't know.
Let's start with the good. He is in the top 50, so he's getting in all those signature events. But he's a guy that doesn't play all that well, right? He went through a period where he was winning. He won like 3 events in a row. But since then, just a bunch of top 15s, top 20, top 25s, top 10s, which means you've got to play more to keep your ranking in the FedEx Cup. He's one of the guys I got projected to play 5 times. We know he's going to play in the 3 signature events. I'm almost assured he'll play at the Waste Management. He has every year for the last like 5 or 6. So now that just comes down to, does he play both the Mexico Open and Honda and actually play 6 times? He is one of the 20 or so golfers that actually could play all 6 times.
Oh, okay. Well, that does make me feel better.
I love that pick. Yeah.
This guy that I have, this is just based on some projections that I was seeing. Adam Schenk.
Another one. Exact same scenario as Brendan Todd. Yep.
Okay. And then another, I always think Schenk's Canadian, but he's not. But it's another Adam Svensson. I've got 2 Svensson so far. Is he like another just volume merchant?
Yeah. If you you want to let me share my screen real quick, I'll just kind of show you.
Yeah.
A quick way for people to find the guys we're talking about.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, this would be great.
FedEx standings. So you don't even, there's no obviously subscription or anything. This is how I got a lot of my information. I started here, and then I went through leaderboards the last couple of years to verify if those players are playing. But so this is the top 50, right? We scroll up and we got Victor Hovland, who won last year, all the way down to Mackenzie Hughes, who got in because John Rahm went to live. So Mackenzie Hughes is number 50. These guys are going to play in all the signature events. They've already been invited, guaranteed, no matter how bad they're playing this year. However, when you start at, we'll take Tagala and Kirk out of here because Tagala has actually played pretty well and Kirk won already this year. So starting at Denny McCarthy all the way down to Mackenzie Hughes. So we're talking 18 golfers. All these guys are good golfers. I don't want to take anything away from them. But they have to play more because they're not winning. They're coming in the top 10 and top 15, which is good. They're going to keep their job, but it's not going to get them to the playoffs. It's not going to get them into the top 50. So they got to play volume. So these are the guys that I'm really targeting. We've talked about a few of them already. Adam Schenk is actually ranked a little bit above this, but he hasn't played well this year. So he's got to play more, right? He doesn't have any top 10s yet or anything like that. So you can see Brendan Todd right here, number 46. Here's this guy. I love this guy. You're going to do some more. I'm sure you will. Cam Davis.
Yep.
I mean, this guy is an absolute bomber. If he plays in Mexico, he's going to score 1,000 points. So that's what I'll tell you. If they're like, if people are in a pinch, look at the ranked 31 to 50 on the FedEx standings. You just got to click that, because that shows it. Those are going to be the guys I expect to play at least 5 times. Now, here's this next batch, this 51 to 70 range. This is the next batch of guys that I like to target because in the 51 to 60, they're going to play in the Genesis. So they get one of the star events, signature events. They're definitely going to play in Mexico and Honda because, again, they need to, right? They need to
Mhm.
accumulate the FedEx Cup points. So if they play well at Mexico and Honda, they're also going to get it in the Arnold Palmer. So these guys, 51 to 60, I think also have a chance to play in all 6 of the events in stage 1.
Mm.
The reason why we're not talking about the players, just to reiterate, everybody plays in the players, all top 125. So we don't have to worry about if they're going to play or not. Everybody plays there. So these are a couple of other names. Bo Hostler's played really good this season. I definitely am targeting a lot of Bo Hostler. Ben Griffin, the name I've brought up a couple of times already. Nick Hardy had a good week this week. Again, these are all guys. I'll go in. I'll take 32 to 60. I'll start 6 guys on my list that are going to be my last 6 picks. And that is, I'm making sure that I get at least 6 guys ranked from 32 to 60, because I think they have the best chance of playing all 6 events.
That is really helpful. I think that's a really awesome cheat sheet there. Definitely. What's behind the Ben Griffin love?
Yeah, I think that it was the name that I said to you when we first came on. So I'm like, I'm sticking with Ben Griffin.
Okay. I didn't know if that was like your boy. Who was like your golfer that like that's like your guy no matter what? I have to have him, whether it's dailies or best ball. Like
this guy, Jordan Spieth.
I was gonna say,
yeah. So Spiethy, I have ridden the roller coaster with this guy. If people follow me on Twitter, they know I have gone through everything. I was there in 2014 when he was coming up as a rookie, following him when he just basically ran through the entire tour in 2015. I thought he was possibly like the next Tiger Woods kind of thing. He looked so good. And then he went into the regression, hardcore regression, and his putter was saving him. I think he's got great marketability. He's a very nice guy. He's very animated on the golf course. He's fun to watch. So that's I like these guys that are fun to watch. Heath Thagala is another guy. He's going to make a ton of bogeys, but he's going to make a ton of birdies and flashy shots, and that's what I'm all about. The Victor Hovland, who hits every fairway and green, is boring golf to me. That's too boring.
Yeah, you need to have some excitement. You can't know what you're going to expect. Your header on Twitter is Spieth, right?
Yeah. So the header is him,
or your picture of
the picture. It's him snap hooking a drive going left, and he said, "My God!" So it's like I just a little play, that Spieth is my God. It's just
that's funny. Oh, that's great. And the last or two more. I've got Lucas Glover. I've got 2 Lucas Glovers. I think that was a volume play. I don't know. I thought I saw something that said he was going to play a bunch of golf. I don't think I saw him in that top 50.
He is. Yeah, because he's a little higher. Yep, I'll go back and show you. He's like number 24, I think. He had a.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, let's go FedEx Cup. Yeah, if you're navigating, I'm showing you how to navigate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Should be better. I'm not going to lie to you here. Because then you have to click FedEx Fall. Because if you just click FedEx Cup, it's this season's, which does not matter, right?
Right.
It doesn't matter. So you got to click FedEx Fall, and then you got to push Show All Top 50. That's how you.
Okay.
Yeah, just to be clear, again, the PGA Tour doesn't do a great job. But let's see, Lucas Glover is 18. There you go. Yep.
Okay. Is that endorsable to have 2 of 3 Lucas Glovers so far? I'm not even sure where this came from. His ADP is 50 right now. Yeah. So kind of interesting, I guess.
So this is where, I kind of cut it off at 32, but I would say that I massage it as I go up. So for example, the top 10, that's pretty set. They're not going to play in these offshoot events unless they've committed long before, kind of like Rory did for the Honda. Right. But when we get to the Sepp Strakas and the Lucas Glovers and the Siwoo Kims, these guys are Nick Taylor. These guys are in the same boat as the Brendan Todds, for example. They're going to play a lot of golf. Unless they win, that's kind of the ticker. If you win an event, you pretty much don't have to play anywhere else. You play in the signature events and the majors, and that's it. So it's kind of weird, right? Because Nick Dunlap is a name that just won last week. He's probably on nobody's radar because he was an amateur 2 weeks ago. But now he gets to play in every signature event for the rest of the season because he turned pro. And he's going to fit in this Aberg scenario where he could play 30 times the rest of the season because he's in every event and he's going to kind of feel it out. So he's a name that I'm going to be targeting that I don't think is he even on the ADP at this point?
Who was what was his
Nick Dunlap.
Nick Dunlap is on here.
Okay.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, he's got an ADP of 56, so people must be on that like you are.
Yep, kind of clicking on that. So he's a name that I'm targeting in those 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th rounds that we could see play maybe the most of anybody on the PGA Tour for the rest of the season.
That's a good nugget. That's fun. And the very last one, just because it'll be funny for people to hear me try to say this name is Byung-Hoon An. I got on him from some of the daily stuff. Yep. How's he looking for best ball?
Can I help you with the name?
Yes.
He goes by Ben. So
Ben?
Yeah, he goes by Ben. Yeah.
My buddy knew me, Badge Bro, told me Benny. He called him Benny. And I was like, I don't know why he called him Benny. So now that I know he actually goes by Ben. Okay.
Yeah, he goes by Benny On. In America, that's what he has all of us Twitter followers call him. He interacts with us Twitter followers way more than like any other golfer in the DFS space. Like he loves it. He's got like a whole fan group from the DFS side of things. So
I gotta follow these guys.
Yeah. Minwoo Lee, Ben On, and Michael Kim, who we haven't talked about. But
I know Michael Kim.
Yeah, playing some good golf, and he's a great follow on Twitter. But back to Benny On, just quickly, number 43. So he fits in that 32 to 60 rank that I love targeting because I expect them to play the most golf out of anybody. And just when we go, for example, right, let's take Sam Stevens here. I think he's a pretty solid golfer. You know, he's ranked 77. He's not going to play in as many events as, say, Benny On because he's not qualified to be in them at this point. And guys like Benny On aren't going to not play because, you know, they don't have to. Guys like Benny On play a ton of golf. You know, he's getting up there in age. He even talked about it. He's like, if I don't play every week, some 21-year-old is going to come take my job.
How old is Benny On?
He's in his 30s now, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of an interesting dynamic where you have, you know, these guys have different, you know, reasons and incentives to play this extra golf, whether it be, you know, trying to earn money or stay fresh. You know, there's a lot of different, it's such like a fun dynamic there. What do you say? I hop in one of these and you help me navigate through a Scramble 2 draft and we try to put all this information together on the fly.
Yeah, you want me to do one with you, or are we not allowed to do that?
We can. Okay. I just entered one and it just filled.
Let's do it together. That's cool.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I'll grab some alpha from you and make sure that I give this your name on it, so that way I know when we ship this 10K, I know. Oh, and what do you know? We've got our buddy J Mac in here with us.
Yeah, I should tweet him and say, "Hey, we're live drafting this for you now."
He's a big auto drafter as well.
Yeah,
I know him, so we'll be able to kind of discern some of his ranks here. So from the 4 hole here, I need to I got to clear our rankings. I have some players we highlighted here, but I don't want to accidentally auto draft anybody.
You don't want to pick Justin Sue in the 3rd round.
Yeah, not that early. Not that early. I know that much at least. Right, okay.
So the 4, we're likely gonna be staring at Ludwig or Xander or Cantlay. At the 4 seed, I'm leaning Ludwig right now because I expect him to play probably 5 more events than Xander, and I think that he's possibly as good as Xander Schauffele. Like Ludwig Eiberg is quite possibly one of the best players in the world. So that's where I'm leaning at the 4. Now, of course, if somebody takes Ludwig before you, I'm totally comfortable going Scotty, Rory, or Victor, of course.
So Ludwig, this youngster, what's some stuff about his game that makes him like so good?
Yeah. He's got an all-around game. So I think that's probably the best way to describe it to you. He is unbelievably good in ball striking. So off the tee, he's long and straight, you know, very similar to like a Victor Hovland. He's very solid with his irons. He's much better than Victor around the green. And then he's a solid putter. So he's got that all around game that you kind of take, that you need to win out on the PGA Tour.
And we like him at 4?
I like him over Xander at 4.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Did you know about Ludwig before, like, he kind of burst onto the scene a little bit? Or did you kind of know he was coming, or did these guys just emerge and then you're just like, holy shit, like I have no idea where this guy came from?
Yeah, so he came in the top 10 or top 15 as an amateur, and he was either the Arnold Palmer or one of the other big events. And I'm like, okay, I got to start following this guy. And I followed him, and he basically like won every single college event I started following. So here's an interesting one. Max Homa has committed to the Waste Management, I believe. So that's typically where I'm going here in this round. But Tony Finau's not going to make it back to you. And so I doubt.
I kind of want to take Finau here. You got me super, super stoked about this Mexican Open. I want Finau to put like the most ridiculous number I've ever seen up. Yeah. I want him to advance me alone in this. So, okay, we see Homa goes, then Minwoo, my boy, my self-appointed boy. We'll see what Chris does here. And try to make our next move. Have you done a lot of these scrambles drafts so far?
Yep, I'm up to like around 55 between scramble 1 and 2.
Nice.
Yep, I plan to do more. I've started the auto drafting thing, like we talked about. I started with the little scramble just to kind of test it.
Yeah,
I didn't mind it come out. I think I'm still refining my ranking projections and rankings. That'll help that a little bit, but. I love this tournament. I mean, anytime that I got a free 10 minutes, I love doing them.
Yeah, that's what's nice about them too, is like normal best ball tournaments for other sports, they're going to take 45, sometimes close to an hour of your time, where this is 10 rounds and, there's no positions to worry about. There is some nuance with the scheduling, if depending on how deep you want to go, but yeah, it is just like fun to know, especially as you get to know these golfers more. I highly recommend, if somebody is trying to get into this best ball tournament, to play a daily or two, like see ADP and get an idea of who's playing well. It's just fun. It just kind of helps you be familiar. So
yeah,
pick 3 here. What you? This is all you.
Yeah. So Justin Thomas is having a really big.
I know JT.
Yep, he has come back. He's committed to the Waste Management. He was one of the first to commit to it. So we know he's going to play in 4. So I pick him here in this 3rd spot every time. I don't expect him to play in Mexico or Honda, but he's playing so well right now that with your 4th pick here, this guy can win a major championship for you. So this is where, for me, it's not all about the projected total points that your golfer is going to get. You also still have to blend in your good golfers, and Justin Thomas there was great. So this is where Tommy Fleetwood plays the least amount of anybody, because he plays over in Europe.
Yeah.
Brian Harmon, he's probably going to play in the Honda Classic. This is where I lean. Russell Henley. If I wanted to go down, it would be JT Poston if I wanted to dig a little bit deeper. But then Cameron Young's there. However, I think you'll get Cameron Young on the way.
So I'm going Poston just because I take a lot of Poston in my daily drafts. For whatever reason, he's just a guy that I'm drawn to. So we'll add a little Nez donkey flavor to this team, and we'll go Poston just because it's a name that I've definitely drafted a lot. You mentioned Justin Thomas's comeback. Like, I do kind of remember he kind of fell off for a minute there, right?
Last year, yeah, had his worst season by far, and first tournament back last week came in a tie for 3rd. So
good.
Yep, and he, because of that tie for 3rd, he's in the top 30 in the world again. So he gets into those elevated events like I just talked about. Even though he finished in 76 last year, he's in the top 30 in the world like Minwoo Lee. So he gets invited to those signature events. So that's why we know he's going to play 4 events in this first stage.
The dude that won the Farmers International, that was Pavone. Yeah. Is this guy? What's his story? Is he like a new guy? Has he been around for a minute?
Yeah, so he's a Frenchman, and what's weird about the PGA Tour this year, I'll call it weird. I don't know if I should say weird, but what's different is they awarded 10 PGA Tour cards to the top 10 finishers not already exempt on the PGA Tour from the DP World Tour, the European World Tour. So that's where Pavon has been playing. He came in 8th, so he got a card. He's playing great. So yeah, this is a snap call for Cameron Young here at this point.
Nice. Okay, and just a quick refresher, we like Cameron Young because he is playing.
Expect him to play Mexico. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Play Mexico, and I expect him to play in those elevated events. He's only played once this season on the PGA Tour out of the Tournament Champions, so he's going to need to get those starts. And I think he might even play at the Honda Classic as well, so he could play in all 6 events. That's why I love him. Yeah.
Ooh, that's big.
Yeah, this is where you mentioned Adam Svensson. He's going to Mexico. He's going to Honda. I like Svensson. Keegan Bradley. I also like, this one's tough. Svensson, Bradley, or Bo Hostler reaching down, but I think I'd stick with Svensson or Bradley here.
Okay, I've got a strong Svensson bag going. We'll go ahead and add to that here. It was definitely between those two. No Siwoo Kim for you if those guys are on the board.
Yes. Siwoo's ADP. I'm gonna have to look into that. See maybe if this has a little thing to do with his form. He hasn't been playing well this year, so maybe that's a little something to do with it. But he's a guy that plays a ton of golf, so
yeah, I don't see him projected for Mexican Open, and it looks like too. Is he for the championship round, the final round 5? Is he even expected to play a lot there? What I have, it looks like he might not.
Yeah, he should. He gets in that elevated event, so he gets in the Travelers, and I do expect him to play in the Scottish Open and then the Open Championship. So
okay,
yeah, I expect him to play in 3 events. Yeah.
Okay, well that's good at least. That helps me for the shares that I do have. My saying is if I see Woo Kim, I draft Woo Kim. That's just another one of my guys, man. I gotta have him in my dailies. So yeah, my process is very simple. I find a couple guys that I've drawn to now, and I take them every time. I think I'm not alone in that. People have their favorites here, but
so there's your Woo Kim.
But
if you want to take him, that's totally understand. I'll give you the 5-second pitch on Will Zalatoris. He's coming back. And
Willie Z, tell me about him.
Yeah, he's going to have to play a ton of golf, and he got sponsor invites to play in the elevated events because they're trying to get him back. So I'm taking Willie Z here.
So when you say they're trying to get him back, he like did he kind of have like some poor events, or what happened with him?
Yep, back surgery last year.
So, okay.
Yep, he was out the whole year. He's just coming back, and so his official world golf ranking, because he didn't play at all, is like 120. So because he didn't play, he didn't get in the top 50. So he wasn't eligible to play in these elevated events. But at the Genesis Invitational, they have sponsor invites, and Tiger, who's the host of the Genesis, invited Willie to play in it. So we know Willie will play in at least 4. Nice. I bet he goes to Mexico because of the way that
I got to cut you off. We got 10 seconds here. Do you like anybody on? Do you like Day, Hideki at all?
Cam Davis is where I'd go.
All right, say less.
Yeah, Cam Davis is where I'd go there. Sorry.
Okay. No, it's all good. Hate to cut you off, but didn't want to auto there at all.
So let's see. We got Patrick Rogers down there. He's playing good. I would start him. Keith Mitchell is a guy. I mean, the way you're building this team, we got to get us some Keith Mitchell in here. So,
what do you think Keith Mitchell does for this team so well?
So, what I think he does is, if he doesn't qualify for these signature events, the Arnold Palmer, the Genesis, he's going to have to play in these offshoot events, like the Mexico, like Honda. I think he could end up. I mean, we just saw him top 5 last week. He could end up in some of the top 10 odds favorites to win those events. And we want that. That's what we love. We want to get top 10 odds favorites every week. Mm-hmm. And Cam Davis and Keith Mitchell, not only are they going to do that, if they make the cut for you at Mexico, they're going to score 25,000 points. Like they're going to light it up down there. And yeah, let's add in some Nick Dunlap, and this is the team. Like this is it.
Yeah. I just got our boys queued up here. There's just some other names, man, that I've recognized, and maybe it's just because the Farmers Invitational attracts some strange names. But I've seen Smalley popping up in my draftable range there. I've clicked Grayson Murray, but I don't know that he's necessarily a guy that we want. But Keith Mitchell is the missing piece on this team. We've
Yeah, I mean,
decided.
I would go him and Dunlap. I think you might even be able to go Dunlap here and then Mitchell next.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, we got to respect the market and go ADP game here.
Yeah,
People are frothy
yeah,
for their Dunlap shares. I
for
can
Dunlap. Yeah.
tell.
And that's not that bad. 4 picks in front is really good. And like I think, unless somebody's watching the stream, I think you're getting Keith into the last pick right now.
Yeah, thankfully with these guys here, I think we are in good shape. The BJ Reds here is clearly
Super
no
Garbage is watching, or what is that?
super nice bros.
What are you
Oh,
doing to me? But,
that's wild. That's
super
wild.
nice,
All right, now we gotta. Okay, you got escape rope here. Is your boy draftable for us here, or do
he
you
is.
have a better?
He is. Shane Lowry's there too, which
I do like me some Shane Lowry, he's going to definitely play at the Scottish, right, and the Open, right, for sure.
Yeah, yep, definitely. Yeah, I think
Here's the thesis for Shane Lowry. I got it. Shane Lowry is that 10th round hammer for the finals because we've got those overseas tournaments. Shane Lowry, cash, the guy you need, as we love to say.
Yep. Nick Dunlap may not get to play in the Open Championship. It's fine. We got a former Open Championship on our roster with Shane Lowry there.
There is no way super nice bros who I've never seen the username before. You got to just say hi, man. I promise you we're nice folks here. You can say. All right, so
to see if he tweeted at us or something.
Yeah, just say hi. I promise it's fine. So to recap the winning team of the Scramble 2, we've got Ludwig Aberg, Rookie of the Year, Tony Finau, Mexican Open bomber, Justin Thomas, JT Poston, Cameron Young, Adam Svensson, good Canadian boy, Willie Z, fresh off the new back, Cam Davis, Nick Dunlap, and Shane Lowry, the guy you need. How are we feeling? I feel pretty good about this one.
Yeah, I do too. If we get Tony Finau and Cam Young to play in Mexico, I'm telling you, this has got a chance. This team has absolutely got a chance.
This was a lot of fun, man. I'm definitely going to draft more of these scrambles. I'm in the slow draft streets for the big scramble, but I got to get in some of these volume ones in the scramble 2 before it fills. This is taking off like wildfire, the PGA best ball streets. So this is awesome.
So did you play last year, the PGA stuff? Because they have the bigger contests coming out soon.
The Albatross, right? Isn't that like the so I did actually I did pretty well in the Albatross because I did something like really unadvisable where I think I fade. Do you remember who the 101 was last year in the Albatross?
It was probably either Scotty or Rory, right? And Scotty didn't have a good major season, so if you faded Scotty, it would have made sense.
I went heavy on Rory. I know that. And so like it was just like I didn't know much about golf, so I was like, let me just like do something really wild and I'll just fade the 101. So I did that, and that actually worked out pretty well. I didn't win anything crazy, but that worked out well. So I'm definitely going to be in the Albatross streets for sure. That was a lot of fun. So now that like I know these names, talking to you more, I'm fully entrenched in these Underdog streets. Jason, before I sign off, can you please plug the good work that you've done, because you've shared so much good info here? Where can we find your work, find your tweets, all that?
Yep. So Twitter at DFS Golfer 23. Really the best place. I share all of my information there. The stuff that I showed you about the PGA Tour scheduler and our rankings and projections for best ball, those the rankings and the projections will be live early next week. Going to get them out in plenty of time before, of course, the Waste Management starts in a couple of weeks. That's going to be on Lucky Trader. We will have a separate package, so you don't have to go through the Rainmaker stuff. If you're not a Rainmaker player, you don't have to worry about any of that. We'll have your own thing to go and click from. So really appreciate everybody going to check that out. Worked pretty hard on that stuff the last couple of years, and I'm glad again that Underdog decided to do this. It's just awesome. I love the format. I love the strategy. So anytime anybody wants to talk strategy with me, they want to pitch me a golfer and want my opinion, find me on Twitter, tweet me, DM me, whatever you'd like to do. I'm definitely always available.
Well, man, we really appreciate you sharing your thoughts because Lord knows I would not be able to do what you did for our viewers tonight. And really quickly, shout out to our new member, Kyler. I think your name is Kyler. I see you in the Positive Kingdom all the time. So thank you for joining. And then Dale Bacus as well in here, becoming a member before the stream started. So thank you guys for joining. And thank you, Jason, once again for sharing this.
Is that super nice, bro? But is Kyler super?
That's how he repaid us by joining the memberships. Oh man, could you imagine? All right, for Jason, for myself, for John, for Numi, for the Deposit Kingdom, this is the Badge Bros. Thank you for watching. Have a good night, everybody. Good luck in these streets.